God shapes our lives. We may not always understand why He sometimes chooses to teach us the hard way, and we may not always understand why He simply delays our wishes, our prayers, or our desires, knowing how much we need them, how much our heart aches for them, and how patient we have been waiting for certain things to happen. We may not always understand what He's trying to teach us, but somehow, all the pain we went through, all the things we have been tested on, and all the setbacks and the delayed prayers make us better people. They make us more resilient, more grateful, and they make us wiser and stronger. They teach us how to adapt to unfamiliar situations, how to roam new roads calmly, and how to fight harder for the things we truly want. We may not always understand heartbreak, why God made us fall for people who broke us or betrayed us, why He moved our hearts for people who took us for granted, who were too selfish to give us the love we were looking for. And we may not always understand why He didn't change our feelings before we fell too hard, and why it was hard to forget the people who hurt us most, but eventually we learn how to live again without them. We learn what we deserve, and we learn how to love ourselves a little bit more, so we don't allow others to diminish our value or decide our worth. Eventually we learn how to be alone, because more often than not we will have to fight the toughest battles alone, and more often than not we will climb the steepest mountains alone. We may not always understand loss or grief, why we lose our loved ones too soon, or why life separates us from the people we need the most. We may not always understand how worst nightmares are good for us or essential for our growth, but we end up learning that sometimes those tragedies are the turning points in our lives. The incidents that shook us also changed the way we live, changed our character, and changed our perspective, how we look at life, how we look at people. We end up learning that when some things start inside of us, we become fearless and somehow pursue everything that used to scare us, and we start going after the things that we kept postponing. We may not always understand God's decision, even if they cause pain, confusion, or heartbreak, but they are always in our favor, even if we can't see it. Time will always reveal the truth and connect the dots, so we can see that everything we questioned was exactly what needed to happen, so we can get to a much better place and get much better reward than what we had originally planned for.